Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this ACAC matchup where we are seeing the NAIT Ooks come down to Calgary to face off against the SAIT Trojans. I'm Brendan Donald here on the play-by-play, and joining me today is Josh Arbuthnot. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Battle of Alberta for the Ooks and the Trojans. These two teams met almost 10 years ago in the championship, and the rivalry continues now here at Winsport.
Yes, and we're going to take a quick break here while listening to the national anthem. And we are about to get ready for this Battle of Alberta game. Josh, just like you said here, these two teams met many, many years ago, but they also met last night up in Edmonton, where the SAIT Trojans, who are now sitting at a record of 2-2, were able to get their second win of the season over their NAIT rivals.
This is kind of the appetizer for hockey fans in Alberta right now, as obviously the Flames and the Oilers will be taking place later this evening. Right now we're going to start with some collegiate hockey and the NAIT Ooks and the SAIT Trojans to get you a little bit of that fix before we get to what some would call the main event. Right here, the way we're going right now, we're ready for the main event of the Trojans and the Ooks.
Oh yeah, if you are a hockey fan in Alberta, you are absolutely loving this. Having, obviously, Edmonton versus Calgary, NAIT versus SAIT. It is a great time for Alberta hockey, and we start the day off with the Ooks winning the opening face-off, moving it around here. Ooks, yep. And SAIT able to win that in the zone, moving it forward and just dumping that puck into the zone. NAIT able to pick that one up, trying to get it back out. One thing that SAIT has done a fairly good job so far this year, Josh, is they have done a really phenomenal job putting pressure on their opponent's zone when they're in there, not allowing them to really get out. They've been doing a really, really phenomenal job at that so far this year, as NAIT gets a nice little slap shot there. So that's another thing that we want to see. Obviously, these two teams faced off last year, had two games against each other. NAIT ended up taking those 2-0. NAIT, last year's champion winners, so obviously met last night, 4-2 score. So we're looking, obviously, they're playing two games here, last 24 hours, so it's going to be an exciting matchup for sure.
NAIT gets a nice shot on there, shot goes off the rim, and yeah, it's really a lot of experience facing each other. I mean, SAIT and NAIT have had the experience in hockey of facing each other for so long now, and you're seeing with the rest of the ACAC, with their other sports now, with soccer, volleyball, basketball, etc., that now the North and the South are fighting each other. But right here in the ACAC hockey side of things, these two squads have been facing each other for multiple years. Like I said, facing each other in the championship back in 2014, and facing each other last night and throughout the year. So no love lost between these two squads, between NAIT and SAIT, both two top polytechnic institutes in Alberta.
Yeah, both really, really good schools. Obviously, NAIT being the northern and Calgary being the southern. So here we see SAIT moving it around, trying to get something moving here. That is Carrier, excuse me, moving that puck around. Little bit of a trip-up situation there for two players. SAIT trying to keep the puck in, and they are able to do that. Carrier, who is very high up on SAIT's leaderboard for points. He's actually third with 4 points so far this year, 2 goals, 2 assists. So you definitely are loving the production that he's able to bring so far this year.
Well, SAIT has those 2 games on NAIT, as you and I were talking about before the game, but we got a penalty going for NAIT right now, and that'll be Nicholas Lear. So the Trojans will go on the power play, but you look at that top almost 30 right now, where the Trojans are for points. There's, I believe, 5 Trojans in the top 30 for points right now, with Mikado at the top right now at 9 points.
Yeah, Brandon McAdoo has just been
thank you.
phenomenal this year. Obviously, he's a phenomenal playmaker. 7 assists so far this year in 5 games. In the NHL, you would be looking at that type of numbers and be like, that is a type of performer what you're looking at. But yeah, so far on the power play, SAIT, very, very good. They are number 1 in power play goals so far throughout the year with 6. They're second in power play percentage with 46.2. So here we are looking at this, but then looking over at the NAIT side of things, they're doing okay for the power or for penalty kill. Obviously in second behind SAIT. Their penalty kill right now is 90.9%. So this is a team that is very good at killing off these penalties. But obviously very small sample size throughout the year.
Absolutely.
Only playing in 3 games so far this year. NAIT, not a super penalized team last year. SAIT, the most penalized team in the league last year with one of the best penalty kills. But that comes par with the course when you are at the top with the penalties. But here we see
starting early too on the power play, so.
Yeah, and so far again with SAIT, unfortunately having to make that skate a shame, just not able to connect with the pass there.
Not been able to really get the setup there, right? Nateson, you talked about their penalty kill. Nate's done a really good job of trapping them at the top, not really letting them set up any opportunities. Now you see a line change coming right here, as SAIT has about a minute left now in this power play to try to get the first goal of the game.
Yeah, and always trying to get that first goal in the game, especially when you're on the power play, not even 3 minutes into this game. It just helps put that a little bit more momentum going forward, especially when this is your rival. You know, you played, again, less than 24 hours. You want to keep that momentum going. You got that 4-2 win. You really don't want to have that slip away, and getting on the power play early is definitely a really great way to continue that momentum from what we saw yesterday. So here we have the face-off in NAIT zone. Trojans able to win that, moving that around. Trentham playing the defensive side. Obviously, when we look at Trentham, normally registered as a forward for a couple of games so far this year, has played on the defensive side of things. NAIT doing a fairly good job at getting the puck out and moving that around. But yeah, like what I was saying with Trentham, kind of that two-way player, normally a forward, but honestly, I think that's kind of beneficial for some of these players to get into that defensive role because it helps develop your defensive game. And, you know, for a team that last year was a decently good defensive team, to continue with that is really, really good.
SAIT right now, just kind of a waste of a power play there. Not any opportunities to really set it up here as Cox gets in, but slammed into the boards there by Brock. And just a lack of an opportunity by the Trojans there. Talked about their penalty kill and did a really good job there of avoiding SAIT. And let's see if they can catch some momentum now and get some scoring opportunities of themselves being back to full strength.
Yeah, both teams being 1 and 2 in the penalty kill option. SAIT is sitting at a 95%, and NAIT is currently sitting at a 90.0. That's going to be a little bit of a fun thing, having to say SAIT versus NAIT throughout the night.
Oh, yeah.
But here we see NAIT able to get that puck out, but Trojans actually doing a decent job, barely just able to keep that in. That was Chase Miller, who got the initial tip, but unfortunately, they were just not capable of keeping that one in. Here we see NAIT going in. That is Lear, who was ultimately serving that penalty going in. Little battle here in the corner.
Another penalty coming on here. As you can see the goalie leaving now. So SAIT, just like that, will go back on the power play.
Yeah, so obviously, that first power play, what did you see? What would you like to see SAIT try to fix?
I didn't see anything. That's the problem. I didn't see anything from the Trojans. There was about one opportunity about at the buck 40 mark. You can see it was getting set up a little bit, and you were talking about Terrace and him trying to set things up there, but really need a little bit more pressure to get things going. I didn't think they were aggressive enough on it, really setting things up at the top, but obviously, too, the defense did such a good job for the Ooks, making sure the Trojans didn't get any of those clean passes to each other and got the puck out very efficiently. So we'll see if the Trojans, second time now, getting a power play, and we've barely played 5 minutes in this game, and the Trojans are already on their second power play.
Yeah, honestly, if you are the team that has this situation, you want to take full advantage of it. Yeah. And if you're NAIT, you are definitely frustrated. Unfortunately, for NAIT, it's Nicholas Lear, who is now serving his second 2-minute penalty in under 5 minutes of this game. Obviously,
well, you said he was going to get chipped before the game.
I did say that. If you're the head coach, you are not happy with that. Good shooting opportunity by number 16, Zach Cox there. Just couldn't quite get it there.
Trojans, Trojans didn't get a shot on that last power play, I believe, so more efficient this time.
Yeah, actually, that was the first shot of the game.
There you go, second one.
Second shot of the game now. Schneeves doing a good job at keeping that puck in. Here we see Huber firing it, but just couldn't get it past. NAIT ultimately just going to slap that one out. So definitely
more aggressive.
Way more aggressive. I'm liking a lot more from what we're seeing on this power play. Getting more shots. Unfortunately for NAIT, I think they might be a little bit tired on the back end, having to be a man down for basically the entirety of the game so far.
That's a good point. You're killing 2 power plays, and like almost 50% of the game so far has been on the power play, and you having to do the penalty kill. And see what can happen right here as McAdoo gets it across.
Passes that to Trentham, who is second in team scoring. So obviously having McAdoo and Trentham together, that is a good pair. Obviously, the number 1 pair that we saw last year of Mackenzie, Carson, and Huber, or Mackenzie, Carson, Welke, and then Huber, they were that number 1 line last year. They were the freshman line that was oh so good last year. Good opportunity there. That, again, that freshman line that was so good. They led the team in points. They were so consistent. Hasn't been that same level as what we've seen this year as this power play comes to an end. So you definitely wanted to see that number 1 line that has all 3 of the letters. Captain obviously going to Mackenzie, and then Carson and Zach Huber both getting the A's. Lear coming in with a lot of speed, who just served the penalty. Good opportunity, and stop me if you've heard this name before, but Welke makes the save. 3 brothers on this team. Obviously the 2, Carson and Mackenzie forwards, played here last year, but their younger brother, Spencer Welke, coming in to play goaltender.
And did a good job there. SAIT gets caught off the penalty, the power play right there, and gets caught in a 2-on-1 opportunity, and good job by Welke staying strong. First shot on the net there for the Ooks, and stand-up save there for him. And
yeah, and Spencer Welke playing in his 2nd game this year. His first game coming with a shutout, so you know he's definitely want to keep that going. Good opportunity there, making a nice pad save. And that one ultimately bouncing out. And
well, and also these 2 teams are stuck kind of in the middle of the standings right now. SAIT obviously has the 2 games on hand on them, and they got the W last night, but NAIT would obviously like to leave today with the split as they trail SAIT in the standings, but also, like I said, trail 2 games as we're about to head into November here, and every game matters, even this early in the season.
Yeah, Cardwell taking an absolute shot from the point there, passing that over to Green. He's looking for an angle, trying to find a passing lane. Green just ends up firing a good block by SAIT there. Ultimately, that was number 22, Caden Hannes. Good opportunity, Miller firing, but not getting it home. And we have another penalty coming up. So, looks like we are getting a penalty coming towards NAIT. That has to be super, super frustrating.
Yeah, it continues to, it's on Green and Ethan Green, and you got to hit the 10-minute mark, and there's a 3rd penalty, but now you got to get to a point too. Yes, they're getting the penalties, but if SAIT's not scoring, that's going to be more almost effective and frustrating on the Trojan side for not being able to get the puck into the net.
Without a doubt. And obviously, when you have that man advantage, you know you're not going to score on every single occasion.
No, but you get 3 opportunities and you don't get it.
In under 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And, you know, putting that pressure on these penalty killers, again, like we said, NAIT only playing in 3 games, but having that number 2 penalty killing unit in the ACAC. Good opportunity for Jenkins, just can't quite get it in. And, oh, Josh, I'm not sure how that puck didn't get in.
Well, Butler did a really good job jumping on top of that. Good heads-up play by him, because it seemed like 2. I believe it's one of the SAIT players right now. I'm just trying to figure out who it was. It was Huber. Looked like he fanned on that shot, and then Butler was able to land on top of it. So Butler doing a good job, but like you were saying, I don't know how it didn't go in.
Yeah, Huber had it just, he was gifted a goal.
Yeah.
And again, talking about that first line pair with Huber on there, hasn't necessarily had the same level of production so far this year, only having, you know, he's had 2 assists so far this year. Those are his only 2 points. You know, so far, this is now SAIT Trojans' 6th game of the year. He would definitely like to be higher up in that level for points, but here we are. starting goaltender for NAIT, number 33, Oslin, a little bit out of his net, being a little bit more of an active goaltender. That's something that we're seeing a lot more nowadays, obviously, with these younger goaltenders. And sometimes you love to have an active goaltender on your roster. What we see, SAIT's normally starting goaltender, Boston Beluis, very active goaltender, but he does it smart. There are some times when it can definitely get you in a little bit of trouble. Sometimes bouncy pucks. Here at Winsport Arena, these ice surfaces do get used quite a lot, and it is a very, very bumpy surface. But obviously SAIT having to play here for the next couple of years while SAIT Campus Center is currently being reconstructed. That's going to be an advantage for SAIT because they're going to get used to the bounces.
Yep, they will.
But here we see NAIT doing a good job defensively. That puck got brought in really, really easily, but NAIT doing a great job at not allowing it. Here we see Hannes moving around, just couldn't quite find Miller there.
It's another power play gone for the Trojans. 3 power play, just 3 shots as well, and that's I'm sure coach is not going to be happy about that. And give it to NAIT, just doing a good job killing it on the power play. That second one I feel was when they had the best opportunities.
Without a doubt.
Third one, they obviously Huber just fanned on that one shot, but three power plays, 3 shots. That's just unacceptable.
Yeah, you know, we're going to be looking at this if this is a really, really close game. And for instance, if we get to a point where NAIT is up a goal and it's getting close to the end of the third period, you're going to look at this and go, well, you had those 3 power play opportunities with not even half of the first period gone. And right now we're looking at the shots, it being 3-2.
I know. That's a huge point too. That you're only down, you're trailing by 1 shot when you had 3 power plays and an opportunity to really gain some momentum in this game, and you really didn't take advantage of that. Now I do wonder, and you were bringing it up earlier, where do we think that the cardio level now for NAIT will be that they killed those 3 power plays?
And you know, one thing that we do want to talk about is, yes, they were on those 3 penalty kills, and they're going to be a little bit more tired. But obviously being able to kill 3 penalties, that's going to get you juiced up, and that's going to get those legs feel just a little bit less tired.
Yeah.
Obviously, mental game is going to help so much, and a good shot by number 2, that was Gardner. Welke making a nice save there, not allowing the rebound. One thing I know goalie coaches absolutely hate in this is giving up wacky rebounds, because that is where you see a lot of dirty goals in hockey, especially at this level.
Well, and you talked about it so perfectly just a little bit ago with kind of figuring out the arena, right? It's a new arena, it's a new home. You were used to playing at the SAIT Campus Center, but now here at Winsport, trying to figure out what the arena is. It reminds me of, you know, the old Boston Celtics, Larry Bird and them. They used to know, take players to the certain parts of the hardwood and know where the ball would go and whatnot, and people have that in the fields and football and whatnot. So you start learning tricks of the trades in certain parts of the arena, the court, whatever. And SAIT obviously had to take a few games to try to figure out this ice. You talked about that freshman line doing so well on the SAIT Campus Center ice, but now trying to get themselves accustomed to the Winsport ice.
Yeah, and Josh, as you bring up that Boston Celtics analogy, I've used that same analogy.
Okay,
that team, they just knew where those dead spots were on the actual playing surface, and they used it so effectively because other teams, they would come in, they would bounce and be like, oh, where's the ball? And, you know, Boston used that. So this is definitely an advantage for the SAIT Trojans.
And you start learning your arena and how to use everything with it.
One thing really, I will say, though, is that SAIT, obviously coming to Winsport, very beautiful facility. We are so gracious for them to allow us to come here and play our games here. They're going to have to play it on multiple different arenas. This is not the normal arena that we're used to. Normally, we're over in Arena B. So, unfortunately for SAIT, yes, they're going to have to get used to it. And as we see Braden Jenkins go off here on a penalty, so now we're going to get to see NAIT's opportunity. But like what I was saying a little bit earlier, SAIT Trojans, they have 70 penalty minutes so far this year, but they're sitting at a 95% penalty kill, and this is actually being upgraded to a 4-minute penalty.
Wow.
So this is a really, really good opportunity.
I'm going to go get some more information on what the penalty is.
Yeah, go for it. And here we see SAIT doing a good job at winning that, and they are firing that out. But yeah, so far this year for NAIT, they are sitting at 5th for power play percentage, getting 20% in there. Doing okay job so far getting that going. But here we see NAIT moving this around, trying to find some teammates here. Number 2, Gardner firing it, and Welke doing a good job at putting that puck down. But yeah, as Josh comes back here with the penalty, unfortunately, we just kind of missed that one in our conversation.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes too, you don't know what the officials are saying. We don't get the fancy mics that the NHL gets or the NCAA. Yeah, so it's going to be a double minor for high sticking. You don't see that very often. That's why I thought, like, calling a Dinos game last week, I saw one for roughing and unsportsmanlike conduct, so back-to-back minors for that. You don't see one where you get a double for high sticking very often. So a pretty serious high sticking that the officials were not a fan of.
Yeah, and that's one of those devastating ones. Obviously, if you're getting a double minor, the referees, and that means NAIT scores as we're talking about that beautiful opportunity there. That is number 16, Cale Loynes, taking a look here at this type of year that he's having. That is his first goal, second point on the year, and just like this, NAIT is up 1-0 over the SAIT Trojans.
And now the penalty will go down. Now it'll be a regular penalty. So they've got a power play on the first goal. So effectively, you get to have 2 power plays.
Yeah, and you know, if you're Jenkins, you are absolutely kicking yourself. I was just in the process as Nate scored saying, that's one of those ones where the referees have to look at that and go, that was intentional for you to get a double minor penalty there. And that is just a tough situation. And this is really going to start to put the pressure on SAIT, obviously having those 3 power plays that they weren't able to capitalize on.
And they get it on their first attempt.
They get it on their first attempt, and it looked pretty easy for them. They were able to keep the puck in there. Obviously, SAIT doing a good job there at just firing it out there. But one thing that we've seen so far for NAIT on their penalty is they've done a really good job at keeping it in there, passing it around, finding the open targets, not taking ill-advised shots, and just doing a good job. But now we're looking at SAIT kind of closing things up here, getting the puck on their stick soon, and just firing it out. That's what you want to see from the power play.
Yeah. Don't want to give up that second goal.
No, you do not. And taking a look here at their power play, obviously they were first. 95%. That one's going to hurt the stats a little bit. Might be seeing NAIT now take over that number 1 spot, obviously killing those 3 earlier. But here we see
some nice heavy pressure at the top right now, and the shot right on.
Yeah, beautiful shot there by Lear.
Trojans did a really good job there of giving some high-level pressure to not let the Ooks get into their attack.
Yeah, a little bit of a slip there for number 2, Drain Gardner. But also, we have to mention, that is Spencer Welke's first goal that he's allowed in the ACAC. Obviously playing his first game a couple weeks ago. 4 periods. Yes, it is 4 periods, true. But, another little slip up there. And here we see Cox with a golden opportunity, one-on-one. Can he get it? Oh, just can't get it by. Golden opportunity there for Cox, but just can't quite get it past.
That centered pass down there, too, to get another opportunity, and that one just bounces off a stick. So Trojans had 2 scoring opportunities, one really good one on the break there, and still can't get going. They do kill the power play, so only give up 1 in the double minor.
Exactly. You know what? Only being able to give up 1 is not such a bad thing, but obviously when you had 3 of your own and NAIT then got a double minor, that one hurts a little bit. That one hurts.
You prefer not to give up any?
You would definitely prefer not to give up any, but you know what? If you only have to give up 1, 50%, you're more going to take that as opposed to 0%.
And I will say this game is flying right now, too. We're already at the 6-minute mark, and despite those power plays, we had 4 power plays now in this game. Both teams, not much stoppage of action. It's been fast-paced between these two, kind of like you predicted.
Yeah, very fast-paced action. One thing, with a really good shot there by number 11, Ospek.
He almost lost control of the puck there. I was worried that would be one of those rare ones where it goes off and comes off the goalie's back. It looked like for a second it would.
Yeah. And those ones when they bounce off the back of the ice, hitting in the back of a goaltender, we don't see those goals often, but we see them more than what we expect to see.
Well, with the rolling puck, we've seen a lot here today, too.
As we see Welke coming in, this number 1 line. And, Huber not able to firing that in. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, Josh.
Yeah, just like I said, like with the way the puck has been rolling today, it's had some weird bounces to it.
Yeah, obviously one of the big things here with Winsport Arena, these are busy arenas. So when we get the opportunity to flood the ice, there's not a whole lot of resting time. With a good opportunity there, but nice solid defense by NAIT, number 4, that was Robinson, who has done actually a really good job so far for NAIT this year, leading the team with 2 goals and 1 assist for 3 points so far this year. Doing a really nice job defensively there. Obviously, normally a forward. Schneeves coming in here, looking for an opportunity, going around, trying to find his teammate. Here we see Welke go back to McAdoo. Oh, that was Carrier, excuse me, going to McAdoo. Good job by Ratty there, getting the puck in and keeping that in. The younger brother of Ty Ratty. Here we see NAIT not able to get it past the midway point, the neutral zone.
Some just really erratic hockey there from the Trojans, not being able to set up in their zone. You can tell they have obviously maybe a little bit of a speed advantage at times on this NAIT squad, and they've been able to get into their zone, but well, maybe I'll speak too soon there. I thought they had a shot on opportunity to shoot there, and now NAIT back on the attack.
One thing that I will say that I've seen from SAIT so far tonight is they are able to get the puck in. That's something that they do a really good job at.
It's not creating offensive opportunities.
They're just not finding the holes. They're not finding the shooting lanes. And when they have those passes, they're not quite connecting with each other on the sticks. And a really dangerous opportunity there from Olslin, but luckily he kind of got away with that, with Miller really getting in there and trying to go after that.
Really, too. I know the shots are tied, but SAIT's had, what, 2 maybe scoring opportunities, and I'd say 3 or 4 of the shots that NAIT has put up have been scoring opportunities for them.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It feels more like the shots that SAIT has had. It's only really been 1, maybe 2 opportunities, but the rest have pretty much been pretty easy saves for Olslin.
Yeah.
And then going back to what you're saying, when we're getting the shots on Spencer Welke, it feels a little bit more dangerous, but again, so far this game, we only have 10 shots combined with both teams.
I mean,
good opportunity there for Miller.
I think SAIT knows themselves. They haven't played their best hockey in this period. You know, you give it those 3 power plays, not being able to create the offensive opportunities that they would like to have. If you go down right now, I mean, obviously you got 3:04 left here in the first, but if you just come out of this period just down by 1, coach has a chance to reestablish what he wants out of this team, and it's not the worst thing going to the locker room.
Yeah, and one thing that we know with head coach Tyler Drader is that he is going to be on these guys and definitely get them to buckle down and really clamp down on that defense, because he's a defensive guy. So obviously going in from last year, we see NAIT being the champions. They're not the same team they were from last year to this year. That's one of the things that in this particular league, when you have a really good team, it shows. And obviously, so far, this is only NAIT's 4th game, and they're 2-1 of a record, only loss coming to the SAIT Trojans last night in Edmonton. But
you get that championship DNA, right?
You do.
As a former athlete on teams like that, even when teams leave, you still have that championship DNA within you, and you can see that. You know, getting those grittier plays, getting those pucks to the corner, you have that ability and still have that championship DNA. Just because some key players are moving, who's going to be the players that rise up? And right now tonight, we seem definitely in goal, they've risen up, and on the power play and penalty kills, they've risen up, and that's why they have the lead right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. And looking at NAIT, obviously so far this year, they have 2 of the top 5 goaltenders so far, percentage-wise. We have to say percentage-wise.
Yeah, well, it's early, too.
It is early, but having 2 guys up in that top 5 is a really special thing to have. Obviously, with Olslin, this is now his 2nd game of the year, but he went into it with a goals against average of 2 and then a save percentage of .943. So, you know what? In that one game that he played, yes, he gave up 2, but he had to stop a lot of shots and still put up some good numbers. Fortunately, SAIT is going to be on the icing call here.
Yeah, just missing that pass to Cox. I'm not sure if he was onside or not. It looked like he was just onside, but it had an opportunity for him to have his 2nd free way to the net there. Obviously, already got stonewalled in the net one time for that, but been a few times SAIT is just kind of missing in the passing, and I think that's the thing going to the locker room they're going to talk about, because the passing has just not been slick right on the stick in this game, and they've missed a few opportunities to, especially on that power play, to really hit a solid pass for a scoring opportunity.
Yeah, and one thing with Cox is so far this year, he has 3 goals. Those are his only 3 points so far this year, so you know he is hungry to get that next one. He's a guy that you were going to rely on getting some of these points, and he's had his opportunities, obviously, on that breakaway. He had another opportunity there, just couldn't quite get the puck on the stick. Passing has been an issue for SAIT tonight. NAIT doing a really good job at getting a little bit more cleaner passes for sure. But yeah, this period has definitely blown by. Looking up at the clock here, we have 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining here in this opening period. But this is one thing that we see with SAIT. They open up playing either, one thing that we saw last year is they never really played a full 60 minutes, and that was one thing that we were looking at going into this year, is trying to see that full 60 minutes. Yeah. First 2 games against Portage, they did play 60 minutes. Going up against Red Deer, they're a really, really tough team. Didn't necessarily have the same level of success with that, and now that we're seeing here with NAIT, not necessarily having the best first period.
You can tell by the body language they want to get to the locker room right now.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes that's all you need is to just get to the locker room. That way you can sit back, take a nice deep breath, and regroup. Because maybe, you know, from looking at NAIT from the last night to tonight, you're obviously seeing a little bit of change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I said too, when you have that body language, you want to get there. You hope you don't give up anything and lazy plays or whatnot. And I wouldn't say SAIT has had any of those, but you know, it's 1-0 right now. This is such a key face-off right now, right? You have another opportunity to maybe get a scoring opportunity, tie this game up going into the second for a period that's been pretty mid for you.
Yeah, and you know what? I'd say going on to NAIT's side as well, it hasn't been a great period for them either. Obviously, having the 3 penalties within the opening 8 minutes is just not ideal. They're going to be really, really happy that they were able to kill all 3.
They haven't attacked that much either, right? They haven't really been in their offensive zone outside of that power play.
Yeah, this is not something that we're normally used to seeing with the SAIT Trojans so far this year, being only at 6 shots. They usually have been a team that is really good at putting shots up on the board. Really good opportunity here going around, and Clark getting a really, really good opportunity. I've liked Clark's play. Obviously playing 5 years in the AJHL. Last year, played for 2 different teams. 58 total games split across these 2 teams, 58 points. So he was a guy that SAIT loved that they were able to pick up and bring there.
You can see a lot of the skill there, a lot of the patience with the stick there. Couldn't get it above to get past the goalie, but as you mentioned his experience there, you can definitely see it coming through.
Yeah, and so far for being a freshman for this roster, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. You love to see it. Obviously, you know, Clark would probably like to have a little bit more. You know, if you're a goal scorer and a point getter, you're definitely going to be a little bit greedy, but he has to be happy with his performance so far. And nice little battle here in the neutral zone. SAIT looked like they were going to end up winning that, but unfortunately we didn't see Carrier really skate as hard as he could have to that puck. I think SAIT could have had a really good opportunity. As we see Carrier moving in, firing a shot, just gets tipped out and goes into the netting with less than a second left. But I think SAIT could have had a really, really good opportunity with that puck in the neutral zone. Maybe just not giving exactly 110% effort on that. Maybe could have had a little bit more time as opposed to.
There's definitely positives for SAIT ending this period that they can go into the locker room with.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot to be happy with, but this is basically going to be the end of the period here. They're being gracious and putting 2 seconds up here on the clock, but I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be a drop of the puck, and here we see the end of the period. So Josh, after 20 minutes of play, what has been your overall thoughts for both teams?
Well, for NAIT, they were able to do really good on the penalty kill there, getting those 3 penalties killed early. I mean, that's a death mark for a lot of teams. I mean, 2 penalties in the first 5, was 3 in the first 8, so good job that they get the double minor, able to take advantage of that and get a score there. NAIT hasn't really been in the offensive zone too much other than that, and SAIT's just trying to figure themselves out in the offensive zone. There's been opportunities there. They're trailing right now 6-8, and lots to talk about in the locker room.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to see from both teams, obviously from SAIT, get into the zone, find those passing lanes, find those shooting opportunities. And for NAIT, I'd like to see them try to keep the puck in a little bit more, because we saw a lot of the game happen in NAIT zone and in the neutral zone, but not a whole lot in SAIT zone, other than a couple minutes and that power play.
Absolutely.
But we will be back here in 15 minutes going into the second period here on ACAC.
We are back here at Winsport. Josh and Brendan, interesting first period for both these squads, but for the Trojans, stuck in the power play 3 times. Pretty much took, 80% of the first 10 minutes of the game, as we have our athletic director walk by us right there. What did you see from the Trojans, and what do you want to see from the Trojans?
Yeah, obviously what I saw on that power play, those power play opportunities, you're taking 8 minutes away.
Yeah.
You're not able to come away with a goal. Normally what we've seen a lot from SAIT this year is putting up a lot of shots and having a lot of really good opportunities. They only have 6 shots in this game. This is not the SAIT Trojan teams that we are used to watching.
Yeah.
Right now, they put a lot more pressure on than what we're usually seeing. They're able to find those open shooting lanes, and they're more crisp on those passes.
Yeah.
They just weren't that in that first period. But I believe Tyler Drader, head coach, is definitely going to get on to them about that here as we go into the opening faceoff.
Well, I think the key thing you just talked about right there too is the passing. That's one thing that we both noticed down the stretch there, is their passings were just not precision passing.
Yeah, they weren't crisp, they weren't clean, they weren't getting it. Obviously, one thing that we talked about, this is a bumpy ice surface.
Yeah.
Even though we see the flooding, just looking at the ice surface here, I can see a lot of digging into. It's not super clean, but it's what you have to live with, and yes, it's bouncy.
Shot on there, good save there. That's what they're gonna have to do, is get him to stand up a lot. He came into this game, as you talked about, Brendan, with just giving up 1 goal, and yes, it's just, it's 5th period of play, but still, in the shots that he has had on him, he has been stand up, and so far, they didn't count it as a shot. It looked like he did have it on him, and they're not going to count it as a shot.
Yeah, and in that first game for Spencer Welke, when he faced off against Portage, it's not like he didn't have a low amount of shots. I believe he was close to 30 shots, and he had to make some saves in that game.
Yeah.
So coming out with a shutout in that first game is something that you love to have, especially when it's your first year in the ACAC, especially playing with your 2 older brothers also on
definitely.
the roster. So,
Ooh.
a little bit of a slip there.
Yeah, nasty hit there, just kind of near our scorers table and falling down. But you talked about, too, did the continuity, too, with having brothers all together.
Yeah, and one thing that we also talked about here is that freshman line that was the top line last year and is our top line this year of Carson and Mackenzie Welke, also with Zach Huber on that number 1 line. They haven't been firing on all cylinders this year.
No.
They have not been that same top line unit that we expected going into this year. And, obviously when you have such a good freshman line like what Trojans had last year, now that's their number 1 line going into this year. They have all the letters on their jerseys. You want to see more.
Jenkins passes it down in the middle and able to connect. Trojans have a chance in front here, shot on, and just missing there. And one thing we want to see from the Trojans, a little bit more of that, of getting to the offensive zone and getting more attacks. We didn't see a lot of that in the first period, Brendan.
No, we did not. And, Chase Miller coming into today's game, 2 goals, 1 assist. He had just a golden opportunity. NAIT really didn't put a lot of pressure on him there. They didn't really cover up a lane, and they just kind of allowed him to shoot. And so for Miller, he definitely wants to have that shot back, like to try to get this game even.
We saw kind of a shot like that, like what we saw in the first there. Casey had that 1 shot just straight on. Casey has the puck right now and just trying to figure what he's going to do with it. Just takes a wild shot to the net and doesn't go anywhere. Puck's behind the net now, and a little bit of a tie-up as Trojans and NAIT fighting for the puck right now, and now NAIT back on the attack.
Yeah, and obviously trying to find those lanes. Obviously, we saw just kind of a wild shot there.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what you need, because you can get a weird bounce that just trips up the goalie a little bit. You need to have those opportunities as Miller fires it, but another good job by Nate being able to really block shots and get in the way of these shooting lanes.
Yeah, that's the one key thing we've seen that Nate has done. We saw that on the penalty kill that they had as well, and now they have a little bit of a break here. Had a man advantage there, and Trojans able to get it, and now have a little bit of a man advantage themselves now as they come into their lane. And much more aggressive offense we've seen from the Trojans so far this shot. Oh, right again, Cox. That had to be the third opportunity that he just loses the puck, and now he gets the puck, trying to figure out what he can do. But Brendan, again, Cox had a beautiful opportunity and not able to make anything of it.
Yeah, and we know him as a scorer. Obviously, he has a couple of goals this year. 3 goals, those are his only points. And when you're a goal scorer like that, really dangerous opportunity there for Nate. But when you're a goal scorer like that, and you're just not quite getting those bounces, it kind of gets in your head a little bit. So you got to hope for him that the monkey can slowly start to get off his back, and he can start to get those better opportunities, like what we saw with that breakaway, just not able to get it past the goaltender.
And now Nate's bringing the puck up. Casey tried to poke it away there from Butler, and was able to cause a little bit of diversion of what Nate wanted to do, but it's still in Nate's zone. Wild shot there, and Nate goes back and have to reset the offense.
Yeah, Nate has to do the skate of shame there. Unfortunately, as a demon, that is the thing that you hate having to do, is when you ultimately lose the puck. One thing that I want to see from Nate in this second period here is, in the first period, they didn't have a whole lot of time.
Right shot on, and nice save there. And again, that was one of the better scoring opportunities we've seen. We talked so much about the scoring opportunities they want to have, and Carrier gets a shot on. But sorry, Brandon, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure that you could jump on the call there. But obviously with Nate, first period, we didn't see a lot of time in SAIT's zone. The only time we really felt that Nate was in the Trojan zone was during that 4-minute play, and it really only felt like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So for Nate, they got to keep that puck and putting a lot of pressure on Spencer Welke, obviously only playing in his second game in the ACAC.
That's a great point. We're not getting the next-gen stats. We're not getting the time in each other's offensive zone, so we don't time that out. But just by our own eye, you can tell that Trojans have been camping at the Nate zone for quite a while.
Yeah, it has definitely felt like today's game has mostly been in Nate's zone and then in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
SAIT has done a phenomenal job today at battling in this neutral zone, and that's honestly a good spot to be winning, is in the neutral zone, because you're going to have more opportunities. SAIT just hasn't capitalized on those opportunities.
No, and they're setting up the offense right now. Shot on and nothing going. McAdoo would look like he had an opportunity in front of it. Can't get anything of it. And now puck goes back, and SAIT will reset their offense there. But again, SAIT has had the opportunities. 5 minutes have gone by, and a majority, again, has been in front of that Nate net.
Yeah, and you know what? It's slowly trying to find those lanes. And, obviously now playing about 25 minutes against each other, you would start to hope that you're starting to figure out the lanes, that you're kind of getting a grasp for what the defense is showing. But as we see Green here coming in, firing it. Oh, dangerous opportunity there.
Not much that Wiki had to do on that, but again, the bouncing puck comes into play.
Yeah, and for the goaltender, that's one of those things that you hate to see in front of the net, is kind of like in front and to the bouncing of the side is that bouncy puck, because a teammate could ultimately be trying to whack it away from the net and accidentally bounce it in there.
Good defensive stance right there. Intercepted the puck again, and now here's an opportunity. Stewart comes up the wing, keeps it to himself, shoots, scores! Stewart buries it for the second goal of the game.
That is
as Nate jumps up 2-0.
That is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful goal there by Stewart. That is his second goal of the year, second point of the year. He only has goals, but it really felt like he was able to just walk in. SAIT Trojans really didn't do a great job at defending that. Stewart just coming in, he had an opportunity to go for a pass, kept it, and then just made an excellent play there against Welke.
Just we kind of saw this with Clark earlier for the Trojans, right? Good patience, right? And Stewart really, from the moment he had it at mid-ice, kind of had an idea what he was going to do there. Bears in the back of the net. Now the Ooks are up 2-0.
Yeah, and obviously both of these two teams coming off of less than 24 hours after playing each other up in Edmonton yesterday, where the Trojans ended up winning that game 4-2. Obviously, we are seeing a mini Battle of Alberta.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're seeing the main Battle of Alberta where the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers face off against later tonight. But this is very much, Calgary versus Edmonton. SAIT, Calgary, NAIT being in Edmonton, both polytechnic schools, the North versus the South.
Two teams that have won ACAC championships in the last decade. Trojans coached by the legendary Coach Babby when they won that championship that had so many great years for the Trojans. And once again now NAIT on the break here, and Stewart once again, and I believe he's going to be offside.
Yeah, Williams of NAIT just unfortunately got a little bit too hasty there, got a little bit faster than his teammate Stewart, but Stewart was coming in very similar to what we saw last time around.
I kind of got to bring, like, sometimes when you see in football, right, when you see an offense starts seeing something against a DB and they're like, okay, let's attack this DB over and over again. I wonder if Stewart's seen on something on the right side of the defense that's able to break him free.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think if that power play situation or if that offside situation didn't happen, we might have seen a very similar thing, because obviously Stewart came in very similarly, exactly what we saw last time what happened. Unfortunately, Cox just not able to get that puck in there, and we see NAIT going into the penalty box here.
Which is surprising, because it seemed like SAIT was going to be close to it, because SAIT was getting a little bit reckless with some of, see, chippy on both sides. So be a power play now for the Trojans. It'll be their fourth of the game as Lacombe goes in. And Trojans, fourth time's a charm.
You got to knock on when you got to have all the hope that you can, obviously, to get back, crawl out of this 2-0 deficit. But one thing that we saw a lot of SAIT last year, they were the most penalized team. We saw a lot of times when they started to get heated, they started to get hot, they never cooled down.
Yeah.
We've seen that change this year, where there's been moments where you're getting hot and you start to get worried. But obviously there's been differences
Shoots
this
in front
year.
of there by McAdoo, just missing that one. Sorry, Brandon.
Oh, all good, all good. But we have seen in the past them get heated, but they're doing a much better job this year at making sure when they do get heated, they're bringing it back down to a cool level head. Obviously, no longer leading the ACAC in penalty minutes, which has to make head coach Drader very happy.
Not leading in penalty minutes, but not doing very good right now in the power play. Only 11 seconds into the power play so far here, and see what they can do and try to get it out as NAIT is able to get it out and get a little bit of a kill. And SAIT will try to go back in the attack as Butler cheating up there for the Ooks right now, and SAIT now back with McAdoo leading the break now for the Trojans.
Yeah, one thing that I find a little bit weird is that we're going into our fourth power play opportunity for SAIT. SAIT's coming into today's game the #1 power play unit, obviously getting 6 goals, and then on power play percentage, they are second when they're looking at it at 46.2%. So they're getting it just a little under half of the time, and we haven't seen that tonight.
Averaging almost a goal a game, really. So far, that hasn't been the case, and 1:05 left now with the power play for the Trojans, and trying to figure some of these out. Carrier passes it around. McAdoo has it on the far left. Gets it back out to Sheaves.
One thing that has crossed my mind, obviously, this is NAIT's 4th game of the year, and this is SAIT's 6th game. Obviously, early in the year, mixed schedules, but I'm starting to wonder, maybe with this aggressively heavy schedule here at the beginning of the year, 6 games in the last 3 weeks. Obviously, we're not expecting NHL numbers here. No. College students mostly playing on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But I'm wondering if maybe SAIT is just a little bit more tired after playing more games than NAIT has.
Yeah, I mean, it could play a factor into it. And right now they're trying to set up the power play. McAdoo fans on the shot. Tries to get it back, and he does.
McAdoo obviously leading the team with 9 points, and also leading the league in the ACAC with those 9 points, 2 goals, 7 assists.
Shot in front, passes it. Oh, big miss there by Cox. The power play will come to an end, and fourth time was not the time for the SAIT Trojans, as unfortunately another power play and another missed opportunity for the Trojans, who trail 2-0 right now, and line changes aplenty for both. And see if the Trojan can try to catch NAIT off of the penalty. The line change, I was going to say, and wild fury in front of there, and SAIT not able to bang it in. So Brandon, once again, another power play comes, and the SAIT Trojans aren't able to make the most out of it.
Yeah, and one thing that we talked about early on in that second period for NAIT is obviously being down 3 power plays in the opening 8 minutes of the game. It's tough, but if you're able to kill those, it gives you just that so much more juice, and it makes your legs feel just a little less tired. And unfortunately for SAIT, the opposite is the effect there, going up 4 power play opportunities and not being able to sink one of those.
Yeah.
That takes a lot more out of the legs, and it starts to weigh on you a little bit more mentally, which gets you tired as well. And you're just sitting back going like, oh, what are we doing wrong? Like, what is the answer to get past this
shot
goaltender?
in front. Shot goes off there, and yeah, you do wonder what the answer is, Brandon. And Huber gets in front of there, and it starts getting frustrating, right? You're wondering why, what's going on? Like, now they have the very fair advantage in the shots at 15-11 as well.
Yeah, throughout that power play opportunity, that was probably their best one so far today.
Yeah.
They kept the pressure in there. They were moving it around. They were finding the passing opportunities. They just couldn't quite find the shooting
Kind of like
lanes.
the second. Even power plays. Even power plays, they find their advantages.
Yeah, well, hoping that if NAIT does cause another power play, that SAIT can hopefully on the 5th opportunity get one behind.
I think we might have another. The gloves, pucks, everything's all over the place right now, and try to tidy things up before they get too far. 2 minutes, and we're just seeing who it's going for right now. It'll be NAIT again. So a 5th power play now for the men of Troy, and see if they're able to get something go. As Coleman, he'll go in for 2 minutes.
I think that might have been a little bit of commentator curse as we're talking about NAIT potentially getting that 5th penalty opportunity. Comes right away, so maybe instead of the commentator curse, we gave a little bit of a gift there, which is a rare one for us, giving a gift to someone.
Well, the Trojans definitely need a gift right now, and taking this face-off in their zone, so get to have the opportunity to set it up right away. It is a 2-minute penalty right now. The Trojans do lead in shots, 15-11, trailing 2-0 right now, Brendan. This is a huge power play, much like the last one was, as the Trojans are trying to find themselves back in this game and set it up.
Yeah, and if they can't find an answer here, it is just going to be extremely frustrating, and you start to have some questions there. Unfortunately, if Shees goes a little bit offside, and that's frustrating as well.
Well, speaking of frustrating, McAdoo, he's been much more aggressive in this second. We didn't really call his name a lot in that first. It was a lot more of Cox, but had a few opportunities in that last power play, and obviously leading the ACAC in points right now, and wanted to get on the pine right now, but a few fan shots as that bouncing puck continues to wreak havoc in this game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, one of the analogies that we both brought up, I brought it up in a few earlier games so far this season, but you brought it up as well, is that back to that Boston Celtics analogy. But unfortunately, for SAIT, they have to play in what could potentially be 4 different arenas here in Winsport as McAdoo comes in, and we're having a penalty coming up here. But SAIT right now, it's still early in the season. They've only had a handful of games here. They themselves are still trying to learn the bounciness of this surface. So yes, it's going to be a home field advantage for them moving forward, but at the moment, they haven't quite mastered it yet.
It's going to be a penalty on the Trojans. Sit away will go in the box. So a 5th power play comes, 5th power play goes, and Miles in 4-on-4 hockey.
Yep. And you know what? This could actually be a good opportunity for SAIT. Less bodies on the ice.
Opens the ice with how fast they are,
Yep. And more space to get something happening. One thing I will say is SAIT do look like the faster team out there.
They definitely do.
They do.
They've had the more opportunities. They've been in their zone more. So we'll see. And now NAIT able to get a setup. NAIT will have about 30 seconds roughly of their own power play if if no one really when this power play is kind of ran out for the Trojans from their NAIT penalty, and shot in front, ricochets away, and NAIT almost had another opportunity there, and SAIT now trying to get in control of the puck here, and NAIT adding some nice pressure.
One thing that I mentioned at the opening of this period when we were talking is I want to see NAIT, put a little bit more pressure on SAIT. Yes, they're up 2-0, but those really chances have come off of like breakaway opportunities. Obviously that first goal on the power play, but that second goal was beautifully done by.
Ooh, nice hit there.
So I want to see in this next moments here, really put that pressure on.
Yeah.
You're right now playing an even game. You haven't done a great job while putting the pressure on. So this is a good opportunity for NAIT to continue to building a lot of momentum.
Have a chance right here. Shot right on. Nice save by Wilkie there, and making his 12th save of this game. And about 20 seconds, and NAIT will be on their power play.
Yeah. NAIT's captain, Brandon Lawson, there on that entry and then that attacking opportunity, doing a great job at faking like he was going to shoot, but then making a beautiful touch pass. Not anything that's super aggressive, but just allowing them to get those movements.
And SAIT scores! Just as the penalty was about to expire, the Trojans get one in front. Great job there by the Trojans to make it a 2-1. They will be going on the power play in about 2 seconds here, but make it a 2-1 game.
And that is Mackenzie Welke there on the goal, getting his first goal of the year, and that third point. Has 2 assists so far this year. But as we talked about, that freshman line of the Welke brothers and Huber, they got to be happy finally getting that power play goal. Technically, yes, it did come on even strength, but
get that monkey off your back, right?
Yeah. And one thing that we do look at is a 2-goal lead in hockey is considered the most dangerous lead. And right now, you know SAIT's going to get so much momentum off of that.
Lacombe tried to sit something up in front there. Puck goes down. Trojans have another chance to maybe get something going. Shot on. Save there. And now here comes NAIT. Has minimal time, and really minimal time. The power play is over, but they'll get a shot on net. Ricochet opportunity not able to happen, and now SAIT back in the attack. You can feel a little bit more intensity to the Trojans right now. Shot in front. Tried to pass it behind. Can't get it. Another shot in front. And how did he save that? Scores! And the Trojans have tied the game up. 2 goals in a minute. Just a little bit under there.
Yeah, Brett Trentham getting the goal, getting his 2nd goal of the year and his 6th point on the year. He is 2nd in team points, and boy, oh boy, we talked about that momentum switch. It is completely changed.
You felt it right after the goal. It was like the adrenaline just completely changed everything.
Yeah, it just felt like after they finally got that goal, everything seemed to click there. Trentham coming in there and getting that bouncing puck. Obviously, unfortunately for NAIT, their goaltender was just lying down on the ground and not getting a whole lot of help there. And Trentham, he looked at that opportunity and he took it.
Kind of felt like right there was an inevitability. Right there, Brendan, that was going to go down. And as soon as the Trojans, kind of the way they were jumping up the ice, there is a little bit of a oomph right there. And to what the Trojans have had is some nasty stuff going on our side next to the broadcast booth, and more nasty stuff continues down in the corner. And
yeah, definitely a lot of frustration coming here from NAIT.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to be having another penalty to Lear, which is his 3rd of the game. Yeah. So you know he cannot be happy with that, slamming his stick against the boards, coming with frustration. Well, and you know what? If you're NAIT, giving up those 2 quick goals, you're going to be frustrated because you've been doing so good at just not allowing these opportunities. And now you have a tie game, and SAIT has all the momentum, and now they're back on the power play. So this is a good opportunity for them to take the lead.
So they have a even strength goal. Was that goal was a shorthanded goal?
Technically, it was even strength because there was
second goal.
The second goal was even strength. Okay. Yeah, they were both technically even strength, but you know the first goal was 4-on-4.
All right, so here we go. Now the Trojans have tied it up, and Lear takes his 2nd penalty. 6:44 left here in the second. 2 minutes on the clock. The Trojans look to try to take their first lead here. Puck gets away there. McAdoo with the chase down here with Lacombe. Lacombe on shot. Doesn't get it by. Nice save there. And the Trojans now will try to attack on the power play.
Yeah, definitely not the way you want to start this power play, making Spencer Welke, have to actually make a decent save there.
Right in front! Oh, wow. You had the ocean open there for the Trojans and not able to bury it.
And we do have a penalty coming up here.
So it'll be a 5-on-3.
Yep. 6-on-3.
Well, it'll be a 5-on-3 in the power play.
6-on-4 at the moment, yep.
Some Scott Steiner math.
Hey, we're broadcasters. We don't have to be good at math.
All right, so the Trojans see if they can get here. Puck is ran in there, and now we'll have a 5-on-3 opportunity for the Trojans. The first penalty was for slashing, and just waiting to see who is on. It's on Jared Brock. That'll be his first. Looks it's for charging.
Yeah, and you know what? That penalty is clear as day. We saw a SAIT Trojan player down, and we heard a big hit. Unfortunately for our angle here to call the game, we get a little bit of a blind zone here in the corner of the current NAIT zone, but make do. But yeah, SAIT calling a timeout here.
To try to end their power play woes here. This is the 6th and the 7th now power plays that they'll have consecutively together. They'll have about 1:15 for a 5-on-3.
Yeah, and obviously they have a lot of momentum right now.
Oh yeah.
They obviously had those 2 quick goals that really frustrated NAIT. And now that you have an opportunity for the next 3 minutes and 15 seconds to be a man up and really put those tired legs and frustrated legs, and you have a golden opportunity here to take the lead and really put this game in your hands.
You do. So Trojans have this 5-on-3 golden opportunity, like Brendan just said. And Trojans will try to take the lead. They've never had it in this game. They trailed 0-2 just before getting a quick 2 goals in under a minute. And 5-on-3 here. Let's see what they can do. Cox is on the ice, and so is McAdoo, 2 guys that have been looking for goals. Carrier as well. So few Trojans that have been looking for some goals in this game. And take the face off, and McAdoo will take it off the face off. Gets it down, gets it back to McAdoo. McAdoo in the corner now to Sheaves. Back down low, and Carrier has it. Now back to Sheaves. McAdoo shoots it on, and great job there by the defense jumping down on that puck.
Yeah, and if you're NAIT right now, you just have to be kicking yourself because you just let this game get out of hand. And if SAIT is able to put up potentially 2 power play goals here, could be a really, really frustrating thing. And Oslin doing a really good job at making a save
really
there.
Nice save there. Shot was right on and did a really good job getting in front of it and stopping it. About 47 seconds now left here in the 5-on-3.
Yeah, right now we're looking at a shot total. Obviously, SAIT coming into this period being down 6-8.
Yeah.
They have looked a lot more like themselves here.
Yeah, they found their game, and that's what we talked about. More precision passing, more attacking in their zone. Shout out to Robinson, though, in the last play on the defense, getting down to that puck and bobbles the face-off to the Trojans, so a little bit of time will be taken off that 5-on-3. See what the Trojans can do now as they lead the break ahead here.
Trojans coming in with some speed.
Coming in with some speed, like Brendan said. Trojans trying to find the lead here. McAdoo, the leading point getter in the ACAC, looking for a goal in this one. Passes it back out, gets it to the top of the ice, shoots on there, and another stop in front. Carrier can't get in front.
Yeah, McAdoo, he is just such a great playmaker for this league. He just finds ways to get people open. And that's the type of guy that you need. And the fact that he's playing on like a second line and he's producing like he is, if you're the Trojans, you love seeing that.
You do. 22 seconds left, not what you love seeing here. The 5-on-3 want to try to take this lead here. About 5 minutes left here in the second period. Pass across, and Trojans still trying to find that go-ahead goal. Here's Clark, gets it down low, across, shot botched. Clark again tries to shoot it, hits a Ook, and Trojans will reset it up as the power play is about to change to a 5-on-4 any second here now. Shot in front, ball, puck hits there, and the net will get reset there. So Trojans aren't able to make an effort and get in on the 5-on-3. Lear will come off, he'll head to his box, Brendan, and it's a 5-on-4 now for 46 seconds.
Yeah, and you know what? So far, SAIT has a golden opportunity to really, really take this 1-2. But NAIT has done a really good job at not allowing. They're kind of going back to the way they played those penalty kills in the first period, of where they're just not allowing a lot of stuff to happen. But one thing that I want to see is Clark, big point getter in the AJHL last year, 58 points in 58 games.
You can see it. You can see it.
Yeah, and he had a golden opportunity there, decided to go for the pass to set up a teammate. Maybe trying to think back on like, I might have had a shooting opportunity, but you know what? Point getters find a way to get points.
Absolutely, that's a great point there, and see if he can find one here. Gets it in front there. Good job by the NAIT defense again. Puck all over the place, and NAIT able to knock it out. It'll be 35 seconds now on the power play as reset it now down to 30 as Trojans potentially will look to not hit the mark on their 7th straight power play, and it's looking more and more like that as NAIT knocks it away again.
Yeah, you know, obviously this second period, SAIT has to be feeling so much better about themselves as Falgeris comes in, passes it to Jenkins.
Ooh,
Good opportunity, but the
missed.
net bounces off the hinges
That's
there.
bouncing off a lot.
You know what? Not as much as SAIT Campus Arena.
Yeah.
We saw that multiple times a period, multiple times a game. So I don't know if anyone realized it. Maybe Oslin got it back on there, but I feel like I can still see it a little bit off. But
Shot in front. Dooley's down. Nice save there by Oslin. Scores! SAIT has taken the lead in this game. 3-2 now for the men of Troy. They don't get it on the power play, but they don't care as they take their first lead, 3-2.
and that is Mackenzie Welke getting his second goal of the night and his second goal of the year. We talked about that top line starting to produce a little bit more, and the captain, Mackenzie Welke, getting 2 goals in the game in this period, helping bring more life to this team.
Well, Brandon, 3 unanswered goals. What does that mentally do to NAIT?
Well, after that first period that they had, they were loving the way that they were playing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they wanted to work on some stuff, but NAIT right now, they've had to battle this period, and that's so tough in the mental space.
Yeah, it has to be. You have 3 goals there, and you can see from the pressure right now, NAIT really trying to find their groove again, fighting for the puck down low, trying to get it out. And Trojans able to get it back, tips it up. And ball will go down. Lions fighting for it, but the Trojans get ahead of them, have a chance to shoot. Just hits off the side of the net there. Great hustle there. Miller was trying to get in front. He can't get it. Sheaves has it now, and he throws it in front of the net. Trojans trying to find maybe that second goal of the game and make it second go-ahead goal of the game.
Yeah, that was Caden Hannes there, looking for his first goal of the year, has 2 points so far this year, but he was skating in with some speed and some bad intentions on that one.
Was he ever, Brendan?
And you know what? This is exactly what we talked about in the first period for SAIT, is putting more pressure on there, skating in there with confidence, using the speed that you so clearly have the advantage on. And now that we're seeing this, it took even halfway through this second period for them to start to get that going. But now that they have it going, it has felt like a completely different game.
Yeah, completely different game, completely different SAIT team we've seen so far. That one just bounces off the stick of McAdam there, and it'll go down, and it'll try to get out of their zone where they've been camping and living for a good majority of, well, this game, period. And big fight for the puck down low. SAIT trying to get that puck back. Bunch of sticks inside there, fighting for the puck, and NAIT able to get it out. Trying to get ahead of the break here and try to tie this game up. Here's Lacombe, passes it up, shot on, just missing. 1:55 left here in the second period of play. Brock has it now, bobbles off of his stick. And more tough stuff going on between Lacombe and a few Trojans, and the ref has to get into the break it up.
Yeah, that is a little bit of extracurricular activity that things are getting heated, but you know what? NAIT doing a really good job at getting themselves in there, putting a little bit more pressure on there. They came in with a little bit more heat, but you know, going into this, we really need to see NAIT start to apply that pressure, and it looks like we potentially could have a player.
Green. And another Ooks down there.
Yeah, refs having to do a big job right now at cooling both of these teams off.
Rattay's going off. Lacombe will obviously go off. I almost wonder if, remember too, in collegiate sports, I don't know if a lot of people know this, you cannot take your gloves off either. If you take your gloves off, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
See, there is no fighting, realistically. You can get, a little bit rough. Lacombe seems like he is either just going for a skate or he's out of here. Rattay is going to the box. I'm not sure where Lacombe is going just yet as we kind of sort everything out here. So Lacombe is out of here, so that may be a game misconduct for him. We'll have to find out what everything is going on here. And obviously a few, Sidway's also going to go to the box for the Trojans. So it looks like it'll be a power play for the Ooks off of this. So pretty much they'll end the rest of this period on the power play as we kind of sort out what everything goes. And I have to wait for Christian, our PA guy, to give us the full rundown of everything.
Yeah, and obviously in collegiate sports, we don't like to see this type of thing. We like to see the athletes go out there and show their skill. But obviously these are young men that we need to remember. Things get heated. They are still very, very competitive.
Yep.
But no reason for this type of action here. Obviously we're having the conversation between the captains and the refs, trying to figure everything out. we don't know what all the penalties are going to be. We don't know if there's going to be man advantages.
Right. PA guy time.
Yeah, Christian, you're going to be doing us a solid here, buddy,
Yeah.
and we can't wait to hear it because, boy, oh boy, we don't know what's coming.
My guess is that that Lawson got a game misconduct with the way that he left the ice.
Yep.
And then Rattay, I'm assuming, will maybe have 4? Maybe have 4 for unsportsmanlike conduct. And then Sidway potentially will have 2 minutes. I mean, I believe either way, Nate will be on a power play.
I think so, yeah. And it kind of feels like this was all set up off of a hit. Obviously, we saw a NAIT player down there for a couple moments, but he was able to get up and skate off under his own power, which is something that we love to see. Good to see that he's not.
So it's a 5 minutes power play penalty against the Trojans right now. So
yeah, Tanner Sidaway, unfortunately, getting that 5-minute penalty there. And this is a golden opportunity. One thing that we said going into this period, NAIT really only had, it felt like the pressure when they were on the power play.
Yeah.
This is a good opportunity to now kill a little bit of that momentum that SAIT was getting. You can tie this game back up here.
Yeah, we'll kind of we'll get the details for you when we come back in the third of all the penalties for loss and everything like that. We'll wait and see also what our PA Christian has to say here in a second with everything. But right now it looks, so the Trojans will be on the power play. It looks on the penalty kill, on the penalty kill here, as they have 4 on the ice right now, 5 on the ice there. So 5 minutes, and I believe that'll be an unsportsmanlike contact. Rattay looks like he's out of the game now. So Sidway lays in the box. So I believe that Rattay.
It's actually Williamson in the box. I'm not sure
Sidway
why.
was in there before.
He was, but then he got moved out.
Okay.
Now Williams got brought.
Thank you for catching that, Brandon.
And then obviously Ratty is actually now heading to the showers. He's getting an early night. But yeah, I don't know what's happening here. We have number 15, which is Tanner Sidaway.
Yeah.
We saw him in the box.
Yeah.
Then he left the box. Now Williamson is in the box.
Anarchy.
Gotta love a little bit of anarchy.
Yeah, you do. Battle of Alberta, folks. Like we said, this was the main event before the main event. Yeah, the main event before the main event.
What we can expect potentially later tonight when the Edmonton Oilers come down to Calgary.
There's been a lot of that. I called Dinos and U of A for the last one on a Saturday, and now I'm calling Trojans and NAIT. So I can't get away from Collegiate Battle of Alberta and then this Battle of Alberta.
Yeah. You know what? Nothing wrong with a nice little rivalry game, though. One thing I love about rivalry games is it brings the best out of both teams.
Yeah.
Because both of these teams, they want to go over and look at their opponent and say, yes, we're rivals, and yes, something might have happened in the past, but I'm trying to beat you no matter what.
Absolutely. See what I get from our PA guy. I think, he's going to maybe speak here in a second and see what he says.
Yeah, Christian, he's definitely going to have...
It's a lot.
Yeah, he's currently looking over everything here, and he's just about to give the announcement, but he's getting everyone chirping into his ear, going this, that, and the other thing. Again, I'm still confused on Tanner Sidaway getting the penalty. I'm trying to see if I can spot him on the bench, because maybe what potentially happened was he got also sent to the dressing room early.
He could have,
and we just can't find him.
He could have.
And Williamson is just... are taking on the penalty for Sidaway. But again, obviously Christian now giving our announcement here.
Well, we'll have to talk to him at halfway because from our point of view, we can't hear as great about everything. So we'll get all the penalty updates for you as we head into the third. Go 1:15, and all we know for sure, one thing is that Lawson's gone, Rattay is gone, and that NAIT has a power play for a while.
Yeah, and then at that point, we're just going to throw our papers up into the air and just say a bunch of speculation because, with 1 minute remaining here in the second period, this is a golden opportunity for NAIT to gain a little bit more momentum back.
So NAIT, puck goes down and goes to the SAIT bench there, and 50 seconds left here. 4:01 left in the penalty right now.
But you know what? So far for this first minute of this power play, SAIT has done a really good job. As soon as the puck gets on one of their guys' sticks, they're shooting it out. They are not allowing NAIT to have any time in this zone, which is obviously one thing that NAIT has struggled with 5-on-5. And the only time they've really felt like they're able to bring pressure is on the man advantage, and they haven't really been able to get much going here on this power play.
You're absolutely right, Brendan. So NAIT now in 30 seconds or so trying to find something on the power play. He's shot there by Lions and goes far to the left side and try to reset up again. Green gets it back to Lions. He had that last slapper, didn't go anywhere. Gets it back to Green. It's in the corner there. Robinson passes it back to Green. Down to Lions. 18 seconds left in the period. Many minutes left in the power play. Gets it on shot. Good job there by the defense. Get it in front of the puck. SAIT knocks it down and most likely chasing down again. Great speed. Gets in front. Can't get a backhand there to get it in front. And that will wind down a wild but successful period for the men of Troy. 3 unanswered goals for the SAIT Trojans. They lead 3-2. A bunch of penalties, but for the SAIT Trojans, that 3 leaving the main mark for them, Brendan.
Yeah, this was a wild period.
Yeah.
We went in here for the first 10 minutes, very similar to what we saw at the end or throughout that entire first period, of where both SAIT just really didn't look like themselves, but now they after that first goal, they found life, they found that spark, and they just moved on, and they just looked phenomenal going into that part. But obviously, then we had some wackiness here in the last couple minutes where we don't even know exactly the full extent of things here.
Yeah, we'll have to find that out for you as we head into the third period of play. SAIT leads right now the NAIT Ooks 3-2. For Brendan, I'm Josh. We'll see ya in 15.
To this ACAC matchup here at beautiful Winsport Arena here on this Saturday evening. I'm Brendan, this is Josh. What a second period that we had there, especially at the end.
Yeah, so we kind of figured a few things out here. Sit away, game misconduct, he's out of the game.
Yep.
Lawson, he has 10 that he's going to serve. And then, what else we got here? We already lost track.
Yeah, oh my goodness, but yeah, we slowly started to get it figured out, but sit away, obviously that misconduct.
He's out.
Williamson is filling in for it.
Filling in for the penalty. Lawson's out for 10 minutes.
Ratty also
and Ratty's out.
Yeah. He got sent to we had obviously the 2 penalties that were offsetting, sent to the dressing room just a little bit early because there was no reason to sit them in there. But here we go to open up the third period with these SAIT Trojans up over the NAIT
Ooks.
3-2. I don't know why that slipped my mind there. It just kind of went a little bit brain fart, but 3-2. That last 10 minutes of that second period, that is the type of play that we see from the NAIT Trojan, or from the SAIT Trojans.
NAIT Trojans.
I knew I was gonna slip up one of these days with that one. SAIT, NAIT, one letter.
We're ready to go.
Here we go. Third period getting underway. SAIT Trojans up 3-2 over the NAIT Ooks. So, Josh, I gotta know. Obviously, we saw much better play from SAIT there in that second period. What are you looking for from NAIT to kind of slowly start to get themselves back into this game?
A little bit of what we saw from them at the end there on the power play. They really had a little more of aggressive tone. Obviously, they got to get the puck in and try to tie this game as fast as they can. They got to take advantage of this power play right now, right? There's 2:57 left here, and Gardner has the top, almost gets shipped away there. Pass the back, and Gardner will have it at the top again. And what they got to try to do, Brandon's shot on, and nice save there. They got to try to do more of that. Get those shots on net, try to get it past, and get a little more aggressive on the offensive side, because there's so many times in this game we've seen way more of the Trojans in the Ooks side than the Ooks on the Trojan side.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. And that first period, one thing that we said going into the second, we wanted to see NAIT really start to push more into that zone on even strength, because it felt like in that first period it was only 1 or 2 minutes that they were really in there during the 5-on-5. Obviously, we can't really say too much right now because it's a 5-on-4, but we want to see that pressure 5-on-5 when it's even strength, because right now SAIT is doing a good job in the neutral zone where they're putting so much pressure on and not allowing NAIT to really have that entrance in. And when they get into NAIT's zone, they're doing a good job at keeping it in there, not allowing too many opportunities to get it out.
Shot on there and misses, and SAIT doing a lot of that good job that Brandon, you were talking about. Gardner has the top. He just throws a shot on net. SAIT able to get in front of that, and puck will go back out. And now 2 minutes left in this 5-minute power play. And
yeah, Stewart and Gardner there, unfortunately having to do the dreaded skate of shame on the power play. Obviously, Stewart got that beautiful second goal of the game where he just came in with a lot of speed and just got that past.
Nate Ook fell into their own bench there, and not sure who it is, and hopefully he's okay. But you know, we've seen, unfortunately, we saw Green kind of hurt a little bit earlier, and trying to figure out who this is for. It's Green
that
again.
Is Green again.
So Green obviously had a little bit of issues there. We've seen him get some helping with skating earlier. So Green again, obviously not trying to speculate too much, but we're broadcasters, so unfortunately that's what we do at times.
Par for the course.
Par for the course. I'm wondering if it has something to do with that leg there. Hopefully he's okay. You can see a little bit of grimacing going on right now, so hopefully he'll be okay and in the bench right now. So we'll try to keep you updated with everything that happens with Green. As for the game side of things right now, 1:44 left in the power play, and face-off will be in the Ooks side.
Yeah, and going a little bit back to that, you know, situation, I think Green kind of slipped into his bench. It didn't look like it was a hit or anything of that sort.
It's a little bit of a dip down if you've been and skated around Winsport here.
Yep.
The way the bench goes, it's kind of like what you see when you get to March Madness, right?
Yes.
And they have that dip down for the basketball players to go down to the bench. And same with the athletes here for the bench here. There's a little bit of a dip down that I'm sure some of the players aren't used to.
Yeah, and, you know, for SAIT Trojans, obviously, this is now their new home for the next couple of years. For the next 5 years, thank you. And one thing that we talked about before is they're going to have to get really used to this bouncy surface, and it's going to be very similar to those Boston Celtics back in the back in the 70s, where they're able to just, you know, create that home field advantage because of those dead areas. One thing we see here at Winsport, very bouncy ice surface. Obviously, a lot of play happens here, and it might have just been a situation where, you know, Green just hit a weird spot.
Yeah.
And again, you hate to see that getting checked out by his teammates here, and we hope that he's okay.
I hope he's okay. And Nate right now having a lot of difficulty trying to get things on the power play. Puck goes back, and they're going to have about a minute left as puck slipped up there, goes ahead as Robinson controls it now. Met by a lot of Trojans, and Nate has just had a lot of trouble in the back half of this power play of setting up. And once again, puck goes back into their zone. It'll be 50 seconds left now on the penalty.
Yeah, and obviously one thing that Nate just has to be so frustrated with, while Trentham almost getting an opportunity there on Olsland, but Nate going into that second period, they had so much momentum. They were doing such a good job, and it felt like we just weren't seeing the best out of these SAIT Trojans. And then a goal happened, and then this game completely shifted.
Yeah.
And it's kind of felt like at this point, Nate really hasn't had that ability to get the momentum back.
Miller and Butler getting in front of the bench there, and the official gives them a warning. And then Butler almost had a chance to shoot it on net there. Now back to Gardner, setting up the offense for one last time now as the penalty is about to expire in 5 seconds. From a 5-minute penalty, trying to find something right in front and not able to get that. Gardner goes back, and back on comes Williamson, and good job by SAIT, killing that 5-minute penalty from the big brouhaha at the end of the second period.
Yeah, and obviously for Williamson coming back out for the team, a goal and an assist, 2 points so far this year. Part of kind of that lineup, that third lineup with Dylan Clark, they have definitely started to grow a nice little connection together. And obviously playing on the third line, you're not going to get as much minutes, but they've been doing a really good job when they're out there.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see that number one line for SAIT get back out there with Mackenzie Welke and Zach Huber, with Braden Jenkins also out there.
Yeah, Welke looked like he wanted to get Jenkins. Defense able to deter that for the Ooks.
And that's one of the things that we said in the first and for that first 10 minutes of the second period is that the NAIT is doing a really good job at not allowing those passing lanes to get open and slowing down the shooting area.
Yeah.
And we saw that on that last entry. They did a really good job at that. And if NAIT wants to continue with this game and continue to play well and try to dig themselves out of that hole, obviously 3 unanswered goals, they have to get back to that strategy.
They definitely do, and 15:36 right now, and obviously you see Lawson still in the box. He'll be there for about another 5 minutes. He's serving 10 minutes. Well, maybe not. Guessing he'll be out in what, maybe 3 minutes?
I would say so, yeah. But with how much jumbling that there was going on at the end of that second period here, we could be looking at next minute, could be 10 minutes from now.
Yeah. Scramble in front of the net there and see what's going on here. And player is down and back up pretty fast. And the net off its pegs again. And we've seen that quite a few times in this game so far. Especially the right net has actually been okay. It's mainly been that left net that we've seen the most errors of coming off.
Yeah, it feels like kind of, unfortunately, when one net starts to become a little bit more slippery.
Yeah.
We saw this a lot at SAIT Campus Arena, where it was one net in particularly. It was typically that left net, like what we're seeing here today, where it just constantly, as soon as it got bumped, it got loose. And we're kind of starting to see that here tonight. Obviously, we don't want that to become a factor in the game. It slows down play. It slows down momentum. Players hate it. Officials hate it. Everyone hates it.
Yeah. All right, so now NAIT back in the attack, throwing it on net, and that's what NAIT's kind of been doing a lot for their offensive times. We talked about, Brendan, in that first period, they were out gunning the Trojans and scoring possessions and scoring opportunities, rather. And now a lot of the offense I'm seeing from NAIT is just, we're just going to try to take that shot on net and see what happens. Not a bad strategy, but there's been a lot of that.
Yeah, obviously the great one, Wayne Gretzky, has the famous quote, you're gonna miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
You need to start putting those pucks on net. And Spencer Welke here, playing in his second ACAC game, does a really good job at controlling that puck, bringing it into his body, and not creating a rebound. Because that's something goalie coaches, defensemen hate, is when a bad rebound happens, because it creates so much finickiness and just uncertainty, because you want to just be able to keep that in and just control it.
Yeah.
And if you can slow the play down and stop it, that's what you want as a goaltender, and Welke did that.
Welke's done a really good job. He let in those 2 goals early on and is calmed down now. 6th period that he's played this season. And errant pass. NAIT has a chance in front, and SAIT able to get on top of it. Shot in front, and Welke gets a save. Scores! And they tie the game up.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful goal there by Layers, who has had quite the
game.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit of that game sitting right beside us here. But
penalty hat trick, and now he gets the goal here to tie it up. And we were just talking about it, Brendan. Same thing. They just get that shot in front, see what happens, and sometimes that's where scoring opportunities happen. Shooting the puck on net a lot of times. I believe it was 2 saves there, and then knocked in, and we got a tied hockey game.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going back to exactly what I said Welke was doing so well before, is just controlling that rebound. He had a rebound. Again, you can't stop all of them. Rebounds are going to happen, but that one was just one of those ones where it bounced off, had another great save, but obviously when you're down basically on your stomach, it's so hard to continue those rebounds and really put your foot forward and stop. But good job by NAIT for finding the opportunity. They've definitely been a lot more aggressive in the SAIT Trojan zone so far this period, which is one of the things that we asked for at the end of the first period, we asked for at the end of the second period, and now we're starting to see it.
Yeah, we are. So Brock now has a breakaway, and puck's taken away, and see the Trojans now can game back on. Trojans have a little bit of an advantage. 3-on-3 hockey right now. Carrier just throws in front of the net. He can't get it. McAdoo, he gets the puck back, whips it across, and NAIT trying to get back control of the puck.
Yeah, right now what we're seeing is SAIT's top scoring line of Carrier, Trentham, and then obviously McAdoo. They're performing really, really well, and they had some opportunities there.
McAdoo had a lot in that second and still trying to find one. Of course, he's talked about so much, Brendan. He's the ACAC leading scorer.
Yep. a wonderful playmaker. Obviously, 9 points so far this season in his 6th game, well above a point per game.
Yep.
And you got to love that. But one thing that I want to talk about that we could potentially see, and this is just more or less the broadcaster side of things, is we could see Welke passes it to Welke, who passes it to Welke, who then scores.
Yep.
That is an actual call that we can hear.
Yep.
And not saying it's brother passing to brother, but, you know, Spencer Welke can pass it to either one of his brothers, who passes it to another brother and score. I'm still waiting for the ability to make that call at some point this year, because it is a real possibility.
Maybe one day we'll get it. Right now, Trojans on the break. Sheaves passes it ahead. Shot on there, no good. Trojans trying to get back their lead that they just lost after NAIT just scored. Puck goes up high, and we'll take a few and get another face-off.
Yeah, that puck, obviously a good shooting opportunity. That's what you want to see. And obviously now that we're back at a tie game, you know, it's even. Both teams now trying to get that momentum back on their side. Definitely want to see SAIT apply a little bit more of that pressure, because it kind of feels like the opposite from what we were talking about of NAIT bringing the pressure so far this period and SAIT not doing a good enough job at bringing the pressure. So let's see what happens here.
SAIT trying to get it up again. Obviously, NAIT yesterday lost the game yesterday. SAIT won, and NAIT having lesser games this year, just trying to get up in the standings. Here's an opportunity here, passed back down to the Trojans. Here come the Trojans now on the attack.
Yeah, Huber coming in with a lot of speed. Obviously, he was the top point getter last year for the team, getting 19 total points last year. So, you know, he is probably not happy with his point total so far this year, but had a good opportunity there.
Here he is again. Trojans haven't been able to find anything yet on the attacking side, and Brock has control of the puck right now for the Ooks as they're trying to get it out of their zone. 12 minutes left here in the 3rd period of play.
Yeah, and so far today, this game has really been a battle of rivals, where normally we like to see when we have these rivalry games, they bring the best out of both teams. We haven't necessarily seen the best of both teams, but it has been quite the battle.
It has, and we've seen that in the penalty box quite a few times here. Gardner, nice little move at the top, shoots it on net. And Robinson tried to get in front of that, but good job of save in front there and remain tied, and shots now 23-21.
So far, I have loved Gardner's game today, especially so far in the 3rd period, because he's been controlling it at the back end and not allowing that puck to get out. One of the things that we saw so much in the 1st and 2nd period is that NAIT just couldn't keep the puck in SAIT's zone.
Yeah.
And Gardner particularly, I've noticed, has done such a great job. NAIT is doing a whole lot less of the skate of shame.
Yes, they really are. And NAIT gets it back in their zone now and winning the face-off. Fight behind, and Trojans come back up with the puck, but then he trips. Lyons was able to get it, and he shoots it back down. And we'll have another face-off. So been a lot of that lately of both teams kind of jarring for position.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing about this particular arena, like as we're looking here right at the level that we're at here, very, very rough surface. This arena has been used a lot today.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunately, just during the flood times, normally where we can kind of reset the ice and allow it to chill out a little bit, since this is such a busy arena, the ice really hasn't had a chance to settle.
Oh no, Trojan down hard. And now big fight again. That is a bad injury right there, and writhing in pain right now is Dylan Sheaves, who's been fantastic in this game, and obviously no players are very happy about that one. He looks in unfortunate amount of pain. There is going to be a penalty in this to NAIT. We'll see how long it goes for, and the penalty looks to be on Keaton Holnati.
Yeah, we hope Schneeves is okay, because he took a hit there, and you never like to see that. We hope that.
Two on Gardner, or no, Gardner was just going to have a chat.
Yeah, Gardner coming here, having a little bit of a conversation, and
5-minute major.
Yeah.
And a game misconduct. He's out of the game.
Obviously, now this is the 2nd game misconduct that we've had in this game. This has been a penalty-filled game.
Yeah.
One of the things that we saw a lot from SAIT last year is a lot of penalties.
Yep.
They're still very much in the box a lot this year. They're not leading the lead like they were last year, but obviously we know in this rivalry game between SAIT and NAIT, rivalry game, blood gets a little bit boiled, a little bit quicker, and we're seeing just a little bit more, and hopefully we can get our player up here soon and he's able to skate off.
Yeah, SAIT, we talked about their power play woes so far, and he's able to get on his feet. SAIT, 7 power plays so far. No scoring opportunities. Well, scoring opportunities, but no goals on the power play for the Trojans. So now they have 8 minutes here, and will really be for the last half of this period. So if SAIT wanted to take the lead, a great opportunity right here with 5 on the clock.
Without a doubt. And SAIT did technically get a power play goal, but it was 4-on-4 hockey. So can't really count that because it's still technically even strength. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. 7 opportunities now. This is going to be the 8th. You know, coming in today, SAIT was the number 1 in power play scoring, but number 2 in power play efficiency. They have not had that same level tonight.
They have not. Ref didn't like what he saw from the face-off there, so we'll take 1 second off of the clock and the power play, and we'll do this all again. I know maybe we're gonna have a reset there of the clock. That's what the officials are talking about right now. So 1 second back on the clock and back to the penalty there. So 5 minutes here for the Trojans. It's 11:08. Shots are 23-21. We have a tie game.
That we do. And you know what? For SAIT right now, obviously had those 3 unanswered goals. This is a good opportunity for them to put themselves back in that lead. And right now they have their number 1 point-getting line out there.
And right now they're trying to get it in front of the net. McAdoo looking for a goal from him. Try to get Casey. You can shut it off by Butler. Butler staying strong there on the defensive side. Back to Casey at the top of the line. Gets a floater over. Trojans trying to set up here.
Casey had to really, really work to keep that puck inside the blue line.
He did.
And when you're a D-man, that is one thing that you hate, having to really try to struggle to keep that in. But good job by Casey, especially on that last play there, to also keep it in.
Been a lot of that for the Trojans right now, trying to fight, and puck will float down and have a line change for the Ooks.
Yeah, and you know what, for the Ooks, they're doing a really good job at the moment of, again, not allowing those shooting lanes. SAIT is doing a good job at finding the passes, but not getting those clear shooting lanes. So they might just have to start taking some of those cheesy, kind of grindy shots that necessarily don't quite get there.
Scores! Cox gets in. He's been looking for it all game. You were talking about it, Brendan. Get in front of the net, get a goal. Cox gets his first of the game after having that breakaway earlier, getting on the board, and the Trojans take a lead 4-3 with 3:51 still to go on this power play. Finally, 8th time is the charm for the Trojans.
Hey, we've been talking about it all night.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, it had to come. But for Cox, that is his 4th point of the year, but that is also his 4th goal of the year. So, you know, he is very happy to have just a shy under a goal per game. 4 in 6 games. He's got to be really, really happy with it. And
absolutely.
We've been talking about him so much tonight. He finally gets that opportunity. And you know what? It was a beautiful goal.
Beautiful goal, and kind of what Brandon just talked about. Maybe they have to play a little bit chippier hockey, get that puck in front of the net. And the last 2 goals we've really seen of that, of just get some shots on the net and get it in front, and Cox able to bang that one through. And good news for the Trojans is they still got 3:40 left here on the power play.
One thing I will say that I've noticed is that the Trojans have had a heck of a lot less shots. They were out shooting NAIT so much more going into the 3rd period. And now NAIT only down by 3 shots so far in this period.
Yes, they are. So it's 9:30 now and 3 minutes left. So NAIT has to kill this power play, hoping not to give up another goal, even though, you know, Brendan said 2-goal lead is the worst in hockey. But Trojans just hoping to gain up a little bit more. And Lacombe will serve his 10-minute penalty, and so he'll come off the ice now. So 1 game miss, 1 long penalty will end, and now 3:12 left in the other one. And Lacombe right off the box and right into the ice.
Yeah, one thing if you are SAIT, you have to look at today's game that you're going to be frustrated about and go, we were so good on the power play so far this year, and only being able to get 1 point on the power play today when you have 8 opportunities is not what you want. And if you're NAIT, you're looking at this going, we had SAIT, we gave them 8 opportunities for a man advantage. that is not good enough, but we only allowed 1 point, so there's definitely that positive, is that your penalty kill looks great. Obviously, they were coming into the night with a 90% penalty kill. It's exactly what we've seen. And yes, the numbers are a little bit more skewed because they've only played in 3 games going into tonight. But obviously, we have seen a very, very good job with them today.
Casey tried to keep that one in, and it just ricochets off of him. So Trojans go back. 2:30 left now in the power play. 8:35 left here in the third period of play. So by the
Casey passing that one back to Carrier, and now he's moving in. Obviously, we have that #1 scoring line out there here today.
Yep.
They're doing a really good job at not trying to rush anything. They're slowing the play down. They're finding those open passes. Dangerous opportunity there for McAdoo. He just couldn't quite get his stick on it. But again, this is what we need to see from SAIT. Move the puck around, slow the play down, and really set that pace.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do here. It's 2 minutes now left on the power play. Trying to find one more go-ahead goal here as we're winding down now. Under 8 minutes left here in the third period. SAIT coming off a victory yesterday when they did score 4 goals and hoping to add one more here. Gets it in front, shoots. Missing that one. Carrier had a wide open shot there and just missing the range there. 1:30 now left. Casey at the top. He's been looking for a goal. Another guy that's been looking for a goal. McAdoo shoots it on net. Good save in front. NAIT able to get it out.
One thing that I have to say about Olsen today, or Osland, he has had to put up and deal with a lot of pressure on the power play, and taking a lot of really tough shots, and he's done a great job. Yes, he's allowed 4 goals on 25 shots, but you know what? His team hasn't really been helping him out and giving him those opportunities to have even strength play. So phenomenal plays so far today, even though necessarily the numbers don't reflect that. He's battled, and he's been a phenomenal player.
He absolutely has. So 45 seconds now left here on the power play. Miller has on the right side, gets it back now. Passing the corner, trying to find a shot. Can't even get that one. It looked like McAdam there, trying to find it. He's had a nice game so far. Fight for the puck in the back. Butler's able to get it, tries to backhand it out, and he does. And Trojans will maybe get, I don't know what, Brandon, about maybe 15 seconds left for one more chance at the power play here.
Yeah. One name that I haven't talked a lot about, or we haven't talked a lot about tonight, is #2, Chase Falgeras. This is a guy, obviously former Humboldt Broncos player, plays such a good game defensively, and he's able to move the puck around. Just kind of had a little bit of a quiet night.
Unfortunately, he has, and that will end the power play. So Trojans do get the go-ahead goal, and now NAIT try to get back in the attack to score and tie this game up. Had a shot in front there, not able to get it. And now the pressing question will be now, Brandon, with 5:55 left here in the third, when do you make the pull?
You know, and that's the golden age question. That's the one that always keeps head coaches up at night, because obviously you never want to have that opportunity of where you have to pull your goalie out of the game, because that means, guess what? You're a goal or 2 goals down, and you're really trying to get that extra player. For me, I'm always on the conservative side. I like to say last minute, because if we can't do something in the last minute, I know there's been coaches that like to do it sometimes going all the way to 3 minutes. That feels a little bit more risky to me, but you know, no coach technically has the right answer to it, but that is the question for sure. Josh, I don't know about you. If you were in NAIT's coaching staff right now, when would you be looking at trying to pull the goaltender?
You look about 3. Right now they're on the attack, not able to get that one. But yeah, 3 is normally the time I look at. Shot in there and just missing an opportunity in front. Yeah, 3 is about normally where I would look for. Maybe 3 or 2. Gardner, sorry. Missing on that shot, and Casey once again just throws it ahead.
Yeah, Dylan Clark doing a good job there. He saw that he did not have the numbers there, looked at it and said, you know what, I'm just going to dump this in. I'm going to go get a change, get some fresh legs on the ice. And now we see Ratty passing that back to Huber, getting a good shot, but not quite getting it on target.
Yeah, just missing that one. So now we are under 5 minutes here in the third period of play, as SAIT had the go-ahead goal and the 5-minute penalty, and trying to ice this game and sweep the series for this weekend.
Yeah, and if SAIT is able to sweep the series for this weekend, going back to these 2 teams last year, only played each other twice throughout the regular season, didn't play each other in the playoffs. NAIT won that series 2-0. And so say after that last year, they really want to get this one back and take that and say, you know what, now it's our year. Especially over last year's champions, NAIT, where they ended up winning the ACAC.
Yeah, there's nothing like having bragging rights, and Trojans are trying to have that right now. Robinson comes down, not able to get anything there. Puck passed ahead, and Trojans just whip it up. Trojans almost kind of think now just playing prevention hockey at this point, Brendan.
Yeah, without a doubt. And one thing that I always look at, yes, you want to play prevention hockey, but at the same time, you don't want to take your foot off the gas. Very clear trip by the SAIT Trojans there, but you don't want to take the foot off the gas, especially when it's only a 1-goal lead.
Yeah.
And NAIT has put together a much better period here as Carrier comes off the ice here. You want, now obviously being down a man for the next 2 minutes here, that is not what you want to give.
Because they'll probably pull the goalie at some point here to have a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, which a 6-on-4, that would be big, and you know what, we could potentially have a tie hockey game here.
We'll see what happens here as Stewart now takes the face-off for the Ooks.
Stewart having such a brilliant goal there in the first period where he just skated around, was very, very patient, and was just able to make the right decision. Looked like he was going to go for a pass, but then just made a beautiful move against.
Scores! And that was a beautiful dime of a pass there from Stewart, landing right on the stick of, looked to be Lacombe, I believe. Could be Lacombe, I think it is. So that is the case. Lacombe comes out of that 10-minute and ties this game up now. So the answer to pulling the goalie right now, you didn't need to.
Hey, exactly, and you know what? This is now NAIT's second power play goal of the game.
Yeah.
And for Lacombe, who we suspect to be the goal scorer, if this is the case, that is his first point of the year.
Yeah.
And obviously now being in your fourth game, you want to get that monkey off the back and you want to get that point. And you know what? To come back and tie this game in a really close net game, that is exactly the perfect time to come out and do it.
So NAIT ties the game up. Beautiful pass. That was all about what it was. We talked so much, Brandon, about precision passing and how important it is. And that pass from Stewart just showcased off why it's so important.
Yeah, and right here we see Carrier getting another beautiful pass, just not able to get it around the NAIT player.
Yeah, Brock did a really good job there.
He did a wonderful job there. But yeah, we talk about precision passing. Carrier got a great pass, just couldn't quite get it. But both of these teams have definitely cleaned up the passing situation here in this third period.
NAIT not going away. Trojans have taken the lead, and NAIT just came right back. Shot right there, goes wide, and NAIT trying to take back the lead. They haven't led since the second period. And 2:44 here before we go to extras. Off the posts there, and this is a different NAIT team in the last 2 minutes here, really on the attack. Trojans now trying to bring the puck up. Loses the puck, try to get it down to Clark. Clark tried to pass it in front there to Huber. He can't get it to go. Fight for the puck back. Lions has it for the Ooks. He gets it ahead to Stewart, and now Stewart will lead a break for NAIT.
Oh, beautiful interception there by Huber. It's just, unfortunately, you know, Welke just couldn't, he just didn't know about it, and he just couldn't quite get the pass.
Shot on, and save. NAIT really has put the pressure on here in the final minutes. To Vanderwall. Vanderwall can't get it to go. Shot in front, missing on the left side there. Now back down to Brock. Had a nice defensive play earlier, and Clark will go back. Under 2 minutes now left here in the third. We are tied at 4.
Yeah, and both of these teams, when we start to feel like they're starting to come out of this game and maybe the one team has more of the advantage, the other team fights back. Obviously, in that second period, we really saw SAIT take it to NAIT and really change the momentum of this game. And you know what? NAIT didn't look at that situation and go, you know what, we're down. They tied it back up. SAIT went back up to the lead 4-3. They've now tied this back up again. You know, obviously they took that opportunity. One of the things that we talked about very early in this game is that if this is a close game, those power plays definitely.
It's a great point, Brendan.
They're just not going. They're going to be looking at that going, you know what, we had so many opportunities, and since it's a 4-4 close game with just a little over a minute remaining here in this game, you just know that the Trojans have to be looking at that going, we had the opportunities, we just didn't take them.
Under a minute to play right now. Tie game. Shot just throwing on net there. Can't get it. Comes back. Shot on. McAdoo has it. passes it across. Try to get it on shot. McAdoo tried to fight for the puck. He gets it back. Skating around now, tries to keep it to himself, try to pass it across ice there, not able to get it. SAIT trying to find some momentum here and try to get the go-ahead lead as we're at 30 seconds left here in the third. Brock tried to dig it out for NAIT. Fight with McAdoo, and Brock's able to bring it out for the Ooks. Just knocks it ahead.
Yeah, you really felt with these especially last 30 seconds here, that NAIT was more in survival mode of, we need to get this puck out of the zone because our guys are a little bit more tired at the situation, and NAIT's more looking at this going, yes, let's go into overtime, as opposed to SAIT going, we don't want this to go in overtime because the pressure's a little bit more on us.
Last shot goes on there for Lions, and NAIT gets a late goal from Lacombe and ties the game up 4-4. And we are going to get ready to head into OT.
Yeah, and what a period this was, because the things that we were asking for NAIT to see in this third period, they started to deliver that. Obviously, we wanted to see better pressure, 5-on-5. We saw that. And we wanted to see crisper, cleaner passes and more shooting opportunities. We saw that from NAIT. And then SAIT, it felt like the last couple minutes, unfortunately, they lifted that foot completely off the gas and they're going, you know what? We have the advantage. We just need to make sure that we play smart hockey and prevent hockey. And unfortunately, a penalty happened and it came back to bite them.
So, Brendan, run down our audience with what they can expect overtime rules here for the ACAC.
So going into the overtime here, I believe it is 4 or 3-on-3. I don't fully remember. This is the first overtime for me this offseason, and I didn't get to see a whole lot of them last year. So we will be getting a little bit of information.
We'll get some clarification. I believe what it is, I believe it's a 4-on-4 and then to a 3-on-3, and then I think it's a shootout. But I'm going to double check, and we'll give you 1 minute. We'll be right back.
So after us getting a little bit of clarifications here on the rules, again,
everything is different. I give you the U-Sport rules. NHL's is obviously different. International's different, but the ACAC, Brendan, is?
It is 10 minutes 3-on-3 hockey here. And yeah, for me, I'm used to a lot more junior B hockey. We're getting rules all thrown at us here. So it looks like it's going to be 3-on-3 for 5 minutes, more on the line.
I guess maybe we take intermission. I don't know what's going on. We're getting all these different rules.
Yeah, unfortunately for us being play-by-play guys who do so many different sports and different levels of sports, they do things all sorts of different. So our apologies on that end.
Well, you know it's 3-on-3 right now. I believe it'll be 2 5s, and then if we have a tie, then we have a tie.
We do have the ability to end games in a tie.
Okay, so it is 10. So that we were right. The scoreboard just had to get reset. So we will have 10 minutes of 3-on-3 hockey, and at the end of that 10 minutes, if we do not have a result, then it will be a tie game.
Correct. But yeah, that's one of the, I would say, curses of doing so many different levels and so many different sports.
So many different collegiate sports in the city as well, right?
Correct.
So, and Casey's able to get that knocked away there. And nice line here for both squads. A lot of the players that have had big impact for both teams.
You're definitely looking at McAdoo, looking for him to get a point. Obviously, leader in the ACAC in points with 2 goals and 7 assists. So obviously for him tonight.
Scores! And the SAIT Trojans take the W. Barely 30 seconds in. Shot on net. Trojans win the game and sweep the weekend series against the Ooks.
And that's one of those goals that we've talked about late for both teams. They might just have to get some dirty goals there. And that was just a tip situation. Boy, oh boy, that was a beautiful goal there. And what a way to finish this game off. You know, SAIT has to just be loving this. For NAIT, a little bit of a heartbreaker. Coming in against their rival to this weekend, going down 0-2. Not the way to do it.
You could just tell the way that the Trojans had the puck run in that zone right away, that it was going to be going that way for the SAIT Trojans. They win this game 5-4, trading the lead a lot. 3 unanswered goals. Struggles in the power play, something they're going to have to answer coming to their next few games here, but they still walk away with the 5-4 victory, and we wait now for the players of the game. Player of the game there is Mitchell Williams for the NAIT Ooks. And for the SAIT Trojans, Cam McAdams, who had a nice game in his own right, second-year player. And again, SAIT Trojans walk away, overtime goal by Casey, and they win 5-4 and take this weekend series.
Yeah, so for us to finish off this game, there's a lot to like for both teams leaving today's game, but there's also a lot to not like. Obviously for SAIT, you look at those 8 power play opportunities and only getting 1 point off of it, you need to fix that.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're NAIT, you're looking at it going, you know what, we did a great job at killing off those power plays. They need to apply a little bit more pressure in the opponent's zone, but both of these teams are going to be leaving tonight's game particularly going, we have some stuff that we need to work on.
Yeah, both teams have stuff to work on, but the Trojans, they are the ones that walk away. They win this one 5-4, win last night as well. So happy time for the men of Troy, beating the NAIT Ooks. For Brendan, I'm Josh. Until next time, folks, cheers, enjoy the day, and thank you to producer Rob.
It is